Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my series of recaps here in December 2025. In my over-the-board tournament, I am playing in New York City. This is round number 3. It is the club championship, the 109th club championship of the historic Martial Chess Club. Highly recommended, by the way, that you try this out. Make it a New Year's resolution. Go get yourself a membership, play some chess, and so on. Now, in this round, I am yet again playing a 9-year-old. Quite frankly, this is getting very tiring. I'm not having a good time. In my first round, I played a 9-year-old, then I played a 12-year-old. Now I'm back to playing a 9-year-old. These kids are rated like 21, 2200 already, which is mind-blowing because when I was 12, I was 2000, and that put me at number 2 in the country. We are living in unprecedented times, right? Now, I'm very proud of this game. As proud as you can be, winning a game against a 9-year-old in a chess tournament. And listen, I don't make the pairings. You get paired against who you get paired against, and that is how it goes. All right, here we go. There are no clocks and there are no player names. Fantastic. Well, we are going to edit them in. For this game, you are going to see something that will really, really shock you. I hope you are prepared. I hope you are buckled up, and it actually happened as early as move 1. There was a mistake made on the very first move of this game. My opponent played the move e4. That was not the mistake. The mistake was as follows. I mouse slipped over the board, and instead of playing my trusty Caro Kann, I already have 1 win in this tournament, I played c5. Pawn to c5. I played the Sicilian defense for the second time in an over-the-board classical game. As an adult, really, in the last 15 years, I played this opening, like I said, when I was a kid. I used to play accelerated dragon with g6, bishop g7. And specifically, the Sicilian that I went for is the variation with e6. There are many variations, knight c6, d6, etc. My opponent went d4, takes, and now I have the choice to play the Kann Sicilian, very reliable. I have knight f6 Sicilian. I have the Taimanov Sicilian with knight c6, queen c7. I went for the 4 knights. Now, I have a course on this opening. I have many courses. What better way to show you how to play than to show you positions from one of the courses on Chessly? Shout out to everybody who's participating right now in the holiday challenge. You guys are closing in on winning a signed Chessly hoodie. And if you're not participating, that's all right. Now, in amateur games, the most popular move in this position is bishop to e3. Bishop e3 is a terrible move. It allows very quickly for you to play bishop to b4, and generally play goes like this, and already black is better. Black actually, in amateur games, gets an advantage as early as move 7, which is really nice. My opponent is not going to do that. He very quickly played knight takes c6. This is the main line. Pawn takes e5. This is trying to occupy the dark squares of the board because I've put so many pawns on light squares. I feel like in the 1960s, nobody would play chess like this, but engines have allowed everything. Knight d5, and now actually the most common move at amateur level is knight takes knight, which is horrendous. The best move by far is knight e4, which immediately justifies pushing the pawn, fights for the dark squares, prepares c4 to kick the knight out of the middle, prepares f4 as well. And here, the most common move by far is queen c7, at which point white plays f4. And there are some really sharp lines like queen b6, c4, bishop b4 check, king e2, bishop a6, king f3. That is ridiculous, and actually white is better here. Instead of playing queen c7, I played what I recommend in my course, which is bishop to b7. Bishop to b7 is a move that my good friend and esteemed chess coach here in New York City, if anybody's an adult and is looking for a chess coach, I highly recommend my friend Alex Ostrovsky. He and I talked about this move some years ago, bishop to b7 instead of queen to c7. The idea of bishop to b7 is quite simple. You want to play pawn to c5 and open up the bishop, and in many ways not helping your opponent solidify their center changes the dynamics of the game a little bit. Now, I was hoping my opponent would be surprised, right? Because, how could you have possibly prepared this opening? I would have never played this, and I'm not playing the most common move. So I never played the Sicilian, never played this Sicilian. And instead, he just immediately played bishop e2, like without even thinking. I played c5. He castled very quickly. and I played queen c7, attacking his pawn in the center. Now white has really two major ideas here, which are jumping into d6 and playing the move c4. Now, everything that's happening up to this point, knight d6 check, bishop takes, pawn takes. I cannot take this because he would play c4 and win my knight because I can't move it. Queen c6, setting up some stuff over here. And here he can either play bishop f3, which is what he played in the game, or f3. Bishop f3 is a very natural move, pitting the knight to the queen and trying to play c4, which is why I play the move c4 myself. He thought for a little bit, he played queen to d4, and I very quickly castled. Now, before we proceed, 14 moves of this game. May I introduce you to the 4-night Sicilian course on Chessly. Some of you may not have this view. People have different views at the moment. We are A/B testing certain things. But the 4 nights course, if you go into the main capture and this learn right here and click learn, this is literally the variation. And if you click through these moves, you see the exact same thing. Bishop e2, c5, castles, queen c7, knight d6 check, takes, and I knew up to bishop f3 and c4. And I had to figure out queen d4 castles. 14 moves of the exact course made, and now let's put it to the test in an over-the-board game. This is how chess works, right? If this doesn't convince you, nothing will. So I had to figure things out from this point. I had to figure out like what I'm supposed to do, where all my pieces supposed to go, etc., etc. Actually, as I was thinking about it, I didn't really know what his plan was, because to be honest with you, I was thinking maybe he's going to put his queen and bishop together here. Maybe he would play bishop f4. I am threatening to take this pawn in a lot of positions, and he's going to try to go for this pawn. So I thought, maybe the best move was rook d1. My opponent played b3. Now, b3 made sense to me. He's obviously trying to get me to take. Actually, what's funny is taking loses on the spot. It doesn't look like it loses on the spot, but it does lose on the spot. Taking loses to c4. And there is no en passant. En passant would only work if my pawn was on this square. You cannot passant diagonally. When they're diagonal, you have to be standing side by side. Now I just lose. So and here I didn't spend a whole lot of time. I played my next move very confidently. Something just spoke to me internally. Like, you need to move this rook here. This rook needs to stay here. First of all, if you go here, you're going to lose the pawn on a7. But even more than that, like if you go rook c8, well, I think there's really no more than that. You don't want to lose the pawn. And then I would use my other rook to push this pawn. Lurking in the position basically at all times is, can my opponent trade into this position? The answer is probably not. I think white is just going to be forever worse in this endgame because this pawn is just bad. I have all the open lines. My king is way closer to getting into the center on a very useful square. And frankly, having this kind of like weird bowling pin Swiss cheese structure helps me put pressure on the pawns, right? Like I'm actually doing very, very well here. But I was a little worried because like if he trades all the pieces, it's going to be hard to win. He went b3, I played rook c8. He went bishop b2, and here I had a long think because I really wanted to play c3. I really wanted to play this move. But I also really wanted to play f6, which not only stops mate, it actually, in the long run, gets my king closer to walking into the center. And also, c3 is a huge commitment. Like, once you play c3, there is all the tension is lost. If I play c3 now and we get this position, I have to commit. So I have to commit to, like, a5. Like, I just got to go for it. And I like, if I'm putting all my eggs in the basket of c3, a5, like, I was like, can't I play c3, a5 on the next move? Like, can't I go here after making one more improvement to my position? Spent 11 minutes. Both moves are actually okay. And I ended up going f6. If my opponent were to trade everything on c4, this is a terrible endgame for white because this is a huge weakness. And now my opponent went rook c1. Now, I knew rook c1 was a bad move. It just looks bad, right? Like, you bring your rook, but it's so passive. The rook is doing nothing at all. And now I went into the tank. Ultimately, I was happy. I spent 17 minutes on this move. 17. Because I couldn't decide exactly how I wanted things to work here. So the first idea I had was push now, right? So you push, the bishop moves, and then you go a5, a4. You just start hammering at that position. Then I spent a lot of time calculating and evaluating different endgames and was like, okay, like, I mean, I think c3 is good. I think it's the good move. But then I was like, what if he goes bishop a1? I couldn't figure this out. Because I knew I was winning this pawn, but after something like rook d1, I couldn't figure out how I was going to prevent him from taking the pawn on c3 because of this pin, right? So basically, if I like make a waiting move, his next move is something like, well, it's bishop c3 right away because I'm actually pinned. I'm pinned two ways. And if I move my queen away, then he would take and take here. And, oh, sorry, what am I, sorry, rook d3 and then take there. I rushed it. I skipped in my head. He would win the pawn immediately. I was like, can he go bishop a1 if I play c3? Then I was thinking, well, if he has bishop a3, I also have queen a6. Then I was thinking, well, look, I mean, I can just go a5 straight away. Now, I ended up rejecting a5 because I thought he could play a4, and I'm right, which is very nice. He can play the really critical a4. And now when the bishop comes here, the pawn is advanced and is no longer a weakness. So actually, I ended up not going a5 because I thought he could play a4, which was very annoying. But I was happy that after spending a lot of time and working through all these nuances, I came up with the best plan. But here, I didn't quite play the best plan. I ended up committing to a5. I wanted to go queen a6. I realized how strong queen a6 was. But I actually just thought that after bishop c5, queen a2, I might get my queen trapped. Like, I wasn't so happy here with my queen standing on the a2 square. I was like, it doesn't look so good. I was like, he can go like b4 maybe, and like rook a1, and I don't know. Computer completely unafraid, of course. It's just not even remotely concerned about what's happening. But yeah, queen a6 would have also been interesting. I ultimately just went for a5. I mean, I couldn't see anything better than this. That was not the best. Queen a6 was the best way to continue to put pressure. And now he took the knight. You know, he kind of saw that this wasn't coming, and he rushed a bit. Probably if he had gone rook d1 and just waited a little longer, probably the worst would have been over. Like, I needed to commit to queen a6. But when he went for this endgame and played f3 so that my bishop couldn't go to e4, I was like, I think I'm just cooking. Like, I think I'm just cooking here. So now I have to figure out a mix of advancing with a4, but doing it in a nice way where I don't, you know, rush anything and lose my initiative. I need to reposition my bishop so it actually targets the pawn, because right now it really can't move. I need to bring my king to the middle, and I need to control the pawn play on this side of the board with moves like e5 and g5 so that he can't make a break, right? So I played a4. I spent a while on this move because his bishop now is able to get out. I said bishop, but the best move was probably bishop to b4. I was expecting bishop to b4, and I was expecting him actually to dance to c7, but I was very happy if he did that because his bishop's totally terrible. And he went rook a1. Now, look, two moves in this game, right? He went rook c1, very passive. You got to respect your rooks more than that. And when he went rook a1, it was the second time, but he played it so quickly that I was like, that has to be a bad move. Like, everything I'm saying, like, I know about chess is really startling me if I don't understand it to the point that rook a1 is not just bad. Now, I made an inaccuracy here. I should have played rook a5. Basically, I want to take, but I don't want to rush. I want to take, and I want to double up my rooks on the a file so that his bishop is going to be busted. And I need to move one of these rooks. I need to go to a6 or c6 or a7 or a5. The best move, according to Stockfish, is going to a5. I'm looking at it now. I couldn't quite tell which one was best, and I wanted to play quickly because I used to be up in this game, you know, a good amount on time, and I could feel like we need to speed things up a little bit. Rook a5 was the best move to continue to apply the pressure. I went rook c6 with similar ideas and also keeping an eye on this pawn, but it's not the best move because it allows him to get out. But I very quickly attacked him, and then he went back. And then I quickly brought my king. King f7 is given a question mark, but the alternative is like e5. So I needed to decide one of these moves. Like, should I push now and then reposition, or should I play king f7, just kind of play it quickly and continue to apply pressure? He went rook d1, and now I knew what the best move was here. I'm very proud of it. It's a hard move. If, like, you know, If you're not good at endgames or it's tough for you to understand, like black has almost the perfect setup here where white is really struggling for moves. For the record, white is not taking the pawn on a4 because I would immediately win it back and the position would fall apart. Like, you can't do this to yourself. And I was like, g5. I know g5 is the best move. So g5 gains space, opens up a new front of attack, right, to join my bishop. But more importantly, I'm limiting white's moves. White is not easily going to make any pawn moves. Now, he played king f2. He played this pretty quickly. And so here I was thinking, okay, obviously you just play g5, h5. You take space, you join your pawns together. But here I set a trap. So similar trap to rook a5, but instead it's rook b5. The idea of rook b5 is that my bishop is protected and I can play e5 on the next move. I also can maybe go rook a6, rook a6, rook a5, right? Go like this and attack on that side of the board. So I played rook b5. And I set a trap because it looks like I've blundered, right? Because originally the idea here was he can't take this, right? He can't take because I would, immediately go but this is actually bad now. It's bad because he would go bishop to b4 and a3. And I needed to avoid a situation where his pawns team up on the wrong color from my bishop. So when I played rook b5, I was thinking, I think he's going to fall for this trap. Even if he doesn't fall for the trap, by the way, my next move is e5 and then king e6 and then h5 and then h4. I'm just going to keep improving every single move. I did feel I wasn't playing perfectly, right? This was an endgame with a lot of subtleties. And he took an a4. And this was like an anime moment. He really must have forgot who I was. That's the only explanation that I have. Because in this position, I had no intention to play the move rook a5. Instead, I went for the jugular of the 9-year-old, dare I say, and I sacrificed the rook. Rook b2. I was very happy to play this move. I have this thought, like, when people watch my over-the-board games at the club, when I play a move like rook b2, I always wonder, like, are these kids walking around thinking, he did the thing. I don't set out to do things like this, but sometimes they just happen. Rook b2 is pretty epic. It's a ghost move. It's just a move that you don't even, what? So the idea of rook b2 is that I attack everything and he can't take. Because if he takes, he has to go here. Then I take with check. Then if he runs this way, very simple. I take a2, I take b1, I win. I win because ultimately what's going to happen is he's not fast enough with his pawn. We trade, he will lose this pawn and be down 2 pawns in a rook endgame. So fair enough, right? Now, one thing I was very happy to calculate in this position was bishop b2, cb2, rook b1, rook c2, king e3, bishop a2, and here he can start running the pawn. And this looks a little bit dangerous for me. I was like, hey, do I have time to go win this pawn over here? Not exactly. But look, king d3, I can play rook h2, rook h4, rook a4. I had to calculate all of this. I also had to calculate rook f2, king e3, rook c2, but there's something even crazier here. He can go this way, and suddenly he's joining his pawn. Like, he's preventing me from getting there, and he's going to, like, look, rook here, a6, rook d6, king b5, and somehow, like, white saved the endgame. Like, this is crazy. Rook d3, king b4 back. It's insanity. I'm up 4 pawns, and it's a draw. But rook b2 I calculated. At this point, my opponent did something so funny. Kids were coming up to this game, watching their friend get the rook sacrificed against them, and making faces at each other. Now, I'm an old man, so really, you should not be communicating with anybody during the games, even if it's faces and not words. But yeah, that was pretty funny. He ended up going here, and it's like, look, when the position looks like this, when you have 2 rooks stuck behind 2 pawns, probably the opponent should be winning here. I ended up going e5. It's not the best move. I could have immediately tried to win the pawn back. But I also wanted to play a little faster. I wasn't really like digging into the details. This would have been the better move, but I went e5 because e5 stops f4, and I also thought that if he's gonna walk his king, I actually wanted to play bishop c4. This was my other idea, just don't let his king get close. I had all sorts of ideas in this game. Of course, now he cannot take because it would be a pawn fork. Here, he tried to force things with rook b1, so I took on a2, he went for a rook trade, and I sacrificed the rook a second time, which was, this was very funny. So we have the same position, only now white doesn't have anything on a2. He went rook b1, and I was like, yo, can I sacrifice my rook again? And I actually can. I can play rook b6 and give up the rook again, and it's okay. But then I was like, actually, I think the best move is to take. I always have to be a little careful in this endgame because, we have opposite-colored bishops. So even if you're up 2 pawns sometimes in an opposite-colored bishop endgame, it's a draw. So, like, you got to do it the right way. But I was pretty confident that this position was winning for black. I'm going to win at least 2 of these pawns, and frankly, I probably will win all 3 of them. And again, I had 20 minutes here. I knew bishop c6 right away was winning the pawn, but I also didn't see what white could do, so I played king e6, which the engine doesn't love the move king e6. It thinks that maybe it gives white just enough time, like bishop c6 right away, but I was like, he can't make a move, so I just brought my king. But then he went g4, and the moment he played g4, I was like, this game is finished. He has no chance now, because these pawns do matter, and when you freeze all your pawns on the same color as my bishop, it's over, and they don't have any mobility. So I went bishop c6, he went rook c4, I took an a4, I have a nice tactic here, I snatched the other pawn. He cannot trade the rooks, he will lose the endgame, he will simply be down too many pawns. And here I had to just come up with a winning strategy. My winning strategy was as follows: retreat the bishop, play the move h5, and when we trade these pawns, ultimately the way I would win this is I would try to, at some point, make the correct pawn trade. Like, I would probably have to play e4, trade it down, go after these pawns, like hunt the king a little bit, reposition my bishop somewhere. It puts pressure on this pawn. You can get into the opposite-colored bishop endgame at the right moment, but you do have to be careful. It would have been a long effort. Like, he could have defended definitely better than this, but he ended up going king g3, and then here he took. And this is very bad because now I have 3 connected pawns, and I just start pushing them. And this is the easiest way to win now, because what happens now is I just play f5, rook a2, and it's actually kind of incredible how quickly white's position disintegrates, because both pawns are frozen on the same color. So then I reposition my bishop, and I target one of them while targeting the bishop. Now the pawn makes it all the way. He just has absolutely no moves. Bishop c5. e4 is a nice move, because if he takes, I push with check, and then I go here. And I checked him. What he went for here was a stalemate trap. Rook takes f2. It is stalemate, except it's not, because he can move his rook. So he went here. Now I have to checkmate him. So I took his pawn, and then he went for one more stalemate trap, just in case I am completely brain dead and go bishop to e4. I was kind of laughing at this point. I was like, I'm very mildly annoyed, because I feel like, there are some kids who just literally don't resign, and that's fine. But, so I went rook h7, he went here, and then here one final time, maybe I stalemate him. But in a shocking turn of events, I took his rook. I actually had the thought here, I was like, should I promote to 4 horses? Just go get knights from the other boards? But this is mate. And I won. Now, this kid is rated like 2140, 2150 in American rating. His FIDE rating is 2044, which is just mind-blowing. Like, he's literally better than 99% of you, and that's not an insult. Sometimes I insult you guys and tell you that you're terrible and can't win a single game and stuff like that as a joke. If you get offended, I could not care less. Get a sense of humor. We're all in this together. We all suck. My favorite thing is when, like, a fan runs into me on the subway or something and is like, "Oh, Levy, I'm a big fan of yours. I play chess too, but compared to you, I'm so bad." And I'm like, dude, compared to, like, Magnus or, like, Stockfish, I'm a complete idiot. Like, come on, I lost my train of thought, but I will reflect on this game and say that I'm very happy with how this went. I mean, it's kind of crazy that I literally just, like, prepared the Sicilian defense, And the whole thing happened exactly as, you know, is in the course. Like, I got to this position, and the way I played this game, I played well, I played pretty fast. I didn't play as emphatically as I should have. I should have kind of trusted my gut on Queen A6, but I just wanted to play. And then I was very happy with how I put the pressure on this endgame. Rook B2 was cool, and then Rook B2 again was cool. And it could have been a bit more perfect, but that's life. Overall, I think it went quite well. It's been a while since I've been like straightforward happy with a game, and I'm very happy with this game. Yeah, and the Sicilian improves to 1.5 out of 2 in the career of GothamChess. Or should I say that the other way? GothamChess improves to 1.5 out of 2 with the Sicilian. That is all I have for you today. And you know the drill already. Get out of here.